So are you using the perfect quality assured coconut oil? Okay, no worry. Oh no, my goodness. You're the reality. Okay, that's the fact. Actually, that is eye-opening, yes. So this is what exactly we are addressing. So as authority, we want to get more into the your boards or your side to work into that direction. So learn from the RIA. It is very much impressive to get apply those things into this streamline in this process. We are in the process, but we give us a good eye opening. And looking to the consumer point of view, there are a lot of low quality, freely available low quality coconut oil comes into the market. So which we want to convert, not to the export market, but to the local consumption, because the export market very well quality assured by the particular producers as well as the authorities and all the regulating body. But how comes this low quality one? This is the concern. So we are.
So the quality of the coconut oil used by the consumers in Sri Lanka
It is a concern. It's a concern. It's a concern. It's a concern. But both can be. Both can be. Yeah. And the thing is, I can't say anything in an official manner without any facts in hand, but this is the fact. So the low quality we mean the non-certified, non-traceable, non-regulated and non-monitoring area. So that is how comes to the market. You know, there are in our authority there are registered coconut oil producers more than 300. So 300. So out of them, they are producing byproducts. The mainstream go to the export and some extent to the local market. But what happens to the byproduct? This is the eye-opening area. Nobody see this thing because I was in the industry. I know what in and out happening. So these byproducts comes into sometime as a punek, sometime as a waste, sometime goes to the waste drainages and waste pits. So where oil is a low density product, it comes and floating in the water. So again, people separate this as a red oil or the sediment or the sludge or some other forms. So all that category goes as an industrial oil. So in the Sri Lanka Standard Institution, very clearly defined what are the kind of oil quality should be, even in the virgin, in the whole kernel, or the pairing oil, or the industrial oil. So that parameters we can ensure. But when come to the industrial oil category, it is not going to the same as to the industry. If it is goes like that, that goes to maybe the soap manufacturing or some other lubricant manufacturing that would have been exported many in the country, but it is not really happening. So then what it is going to be, where it is going? More than 200,000, 300,000 liters per day generating this amount. This is again come to the main food stream. How it comes? When that goes to the people, there are many minor household level manufacturers. They press that punek with this sludge and this waste material, and then again they extracted that and boiling and separating and get to the color. Sometimes they may add whiteness also. So that is the many, if that is medical officer, health, PHIs, evidence sometimes these things. So this is non-controllable because there is no law for to control that one. So that is where we have the environmental authority. Yes, you have to have the wastewater treatment plant under these conditions, COD, BOD, this level, all are compliant. But what happened to this byproduct? Who is going to monitor that? So then the industry have the responsibility to sell it out to the minor producers or some value added or some industrial purposes. That has to go with a kind of agreement. That is not happening fully. So then it may misuse by this minor level or micro level producers, and then that will be adding value for many purposes. So that has to be controlled. That part controlling, I feel there is no regulatory. And then again, if it is going as animal waste, there is animal waste circular or the gazette. That also under the approval of health ministry, that means animal science veterinary surgeon or somebody should give the confirmation this can be done for the animal, but they are not using this thing to animal, so then it is inapplicable. So then this kind of byproduct freely going to the minor producers, and then they will make some kind of value addition and come to the stream. So and that is mainly go with the drums. You may have seen in your retail shops or the some not to the in the supermarket, not in the normal developed shops. That is come without label in the drums or the jerry cans. So where they use the hand pump and pump in a loose amount into the silly bag or small amounts. So who assured the quality of that one? Who take the traceability of that one? Who take the manufacturing authenticity of that one? Nobody. So then it is a concern to raise a legal action also because it is non-traceable. Other thing is the sample what we analyze from randomly out of the country, that doesn't give the good quality. Most of the time it doesn't comply in the requirement. So this is eye-opening. Even the health ministry and all that, having the gases and all that, they should not be adulterated and all that. But this is happening. So we have to control this area. This is the wrecking part. So this is mainly failure of the regulatory, mainly failure of our monitoring chain, lacking point of some regulatory requirement. So I feel this is the area we want to rethink and re-amend. This is can't do alone with the CEA. That has to come with the consumer authority as well as health ministry and industrial ministry. All has to come together. It has to be cross-functional thing. So this is another eye-opening for all the institutions. We work to the good for the nation.
Excellent. Very nice. Yes. She wants to complement.
Thanks for his comments. Actually, I'm also representing CDA, and my project was actually the group project here also an extension to the same topic, where I'm referring to the quality compliance of the imported edible oils, which is coming to Sri Lanka, because right now there's no kind of a quality compliance of those edible oils coming to Sri Lanka. So the same scenario happening, which my colleague just explained with the situation. So that is being adulterated and freely available in the market, and the customer is not unknowingly buying the stuff, which is sometimes maybe 70%. They say it's 100% coconut oil, but 70% may be palm oil. So that is the issue. And here the problem that we are referring to as the problem definition here is the CDA does, although it has the regulation powers, in the sense the authority, it is mandated, but it doesn't have the empowerment of checking it at the borders when the stuff comes to Sri Lanka. So what I'm suggesting is that CDA or as CDA is the body that is that has the powers to authorize, to regulate this area, the coconut industry, the oil industry. It should have to have that particular authority to check on when it comes enter into the market, in Sri Lankan market. So that is my rationale as well as the problem definition basically. So why I really wanted to explain it at the moment, because my colleague just explained the same thing. So that is the one side of the same kind of a thing. So end of the day, all this stuff goes to the market, and the customer get penalized, and the government is having a cost because it has to bear the cost of hospitalization. Maybe the cancer patients are getting higher and higher day by day. So there's a huge cost. So that is the background of the scenario. Yes, I just wanted to mention the percentages which is entered into Sri Lankan market when it comes to edible oils. The annual consumption of coconut oil in Sri Lanka is 240,000 metric tons, whereas only 1/6 of that is being manufactured in Sri Lanka right now, that is 40,000 metric tons. So 200,000 metric tons every year comes, which we had to import basically. So there is a requirement of 240,000 metric tons.
That's nice. From an economic point of view, what type of situation you're facing? What type of
The economic point of view, actually this byproduct, why the people value adding to get the more economical benefit. So the coconut industry, the coconut oil price is very high. So what this low cost, the byproducts that goes to the freely into the market into the low price, and then they again value adding for this one in an unethical way or the undefined way. So then their main purpose is again to get the economic value for that one. That is why they produce that one, refine that one, and it's using the household level refineries, and then they add that into the mainstream. So that is again adulteration. So we have the guidelines and regulatory for preventing the adulteration, but it is really not controllable because it is happening largely around the minor level. So that is the concern. So definitely this is mainly purpose of the economic purpose. They do that to get the more profit.
Yeah. But if you were an economist, how would you describe the market failure? What type of market failure are they describing here? We have a couple of economists, right? Where are they? They disappeared. What type of market failures they are describing here? Hmm? Huh?
The negative externalities that we can observe. So in terms of the public health point of view, as well as the cost that the government has to bear. Those are, I guess, the negative externalities.
They just put in a substance that is not exactly what they are saying. The description does not give what the content is. Right? Okay, so you're facing maybe two types of market failures in this case. You are facing issues related to externalities, you know, the negative consequences of producing these things. They are not paid by those that are producing the thing, but you're also facing issues of asymmetries of information. What the consumer gets, the consumer is misled, right? So there are huge asymmetries of information. At the end, they are not getting what they're paying for. Yeah? Okay, so you have a nice case of an economic issue here in the market, of really market failures that you need to address. And since it's a combination of things, when it comes to your potential solutions, be careful because there may be things that you may not address with a simple solution. You may need a combination of actions to be able to address the market failures. Very nice. Any comment, question to our colleagues? No? You're hungry. That means you want to eat. Okay. We got it. So, is it clear your problem definition part? You know, I heard a lot in the presentation. We need to control. We need to control. We need to ensure the control. Be careful with that word. It's an attractive word for a regulator, but be very careful with that. Because the more you control, the more resources you need to do it. And the more you fail. And you don't manage to control everything you want to control. So be very careful with that. Be careful when you define the problem in that sense. Everybody agrees that there is a lack of control. Yes. It's clear that, but at the same time, that may not be really the problem, you know? Once you define properly, you will see what options you have, and potentially this will take you to increase controls and put controls where the controls should be, not everywhere, right? So just be careful with this attractive word that can be dangerous.
So you're obviously speaking from experience from other countries, seeing what regulations can and cannot do. So in terms of our cultural context, we are not very disciplined. I'm going to be very open about that. So the tendency is to say let's control. But if you can give us options and ideas as to how we can combine with voluntary guidelines, communication, that will be very helpful during the sessions.
Well, I think this, you know, I have mentioned along the explanation that you should explore additional options. But now that we are entering into pilot phase, I think we need to stress that. And we will try to see what additional combination of measures could be more effective. At the end, yes, you need to control because, of course, if you don't put some order into that market, things will continue the way they are. But how you do it, this is basically the idea, right? Which are the instruments that potentially can be more effective to really organize the market in a better way for consumers not to be cheated, for instance, right? So yeah, we need to look into options, and some of them may be non-regulatory options.
I think in this space, somebody mentioned yesterday the relevance of having sociologists on board, not only economists. So what I was thinking while we mentioned these words, how much it means for us when we analyze a problem to name it properly and to communicate it properly.
But sociologists for what exactly?
Because, for instance, if you talk about how a problem can be actually proposed for a solution to the private sector for consultation, it determines the level of engagement that you will have from the private sector. If you go, for instance, if you go towards the private sector and say, I want to set a target of 30% reduction of this problem. I have identified the problem, I have identified the solution, I'm just consulting you as a formality, more or less, because I want to control you. I would say that it's going to be very tough to have them on board, right? So in this case, I would say that sociologists with economists and of course with the technical capacity that is already available should find ways of formulating itself the problem that would open the conversation.
You know, it's a good idea. But I think there is an additional profession. Which one? Behavioral scientist. No, no. Today, most regulators are incorporating behavioral scientists. Because at the end, what you want is to change behavior of consumers, of how companies operate. And this is not psychology. There are economists that look into behavioral economics. This is the type of expertise that potentially you need. In many countries today,